let's move on to the Book of Boba Fett. What was this episode called?
It's partnering up with Fennec.
It was called The Gathering Storm.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Gathering
That makes
Storm.
sense. We spend the first 33 minutes of this episode in a flashback. And these flashbacks are getting a little confusing now that I think about it. Because the flashback in episode 3, where he goes and visits the Pikes. Oh, okay. So I guess this so we are generally moving our way forward.
We are.
Right.
Yeah.
We are. So when he actually takes the throne,
Right? Because we even saw him do that. They added that where he shoots Bib Fortuna and sits on the throne towards the end of the flashback. So maybe we're almost there. We get to, he's scoping out Jabba's old palace, looking for his ship,
right?
Trying to get his ship back. And one night he sees a ship crash. And he goes, he checks it out.
No, he sees the flares.
Yeah, he sees the flares.
Right. So there was two. Right. There was two of them. That's okay. That's why I was kind of confused. I was like, was there a second ship?
Go back. Yeah. If you go back and watch The Mandalorian, that episode, that's when they're shooting the flares to blind the sniper, Fennec Shand. So they can get closer to her. So they shoot the flares up, they blind her, and they move. That's what he sees is the flares that draws his attention to it. By the time he gets there, Mandalorian has left along with that the kid that betrays him. Right.
Yeah. So he goes and he gets Boba Fett. Boba Fett goes and he finds Fennec dying. Takes her to go get fixed up at a mod shop. Turns her into Fennec 3PO.
Right.
I liked them filling in this plot point. I did feel like the amount of time they spent on the surgery in the mod shop way too long. I was bored with it. It needed to be, a 5 or 6 second shot of him starting and then
finishing. Yeah, it did drag way too long. Didn't need it.
Surgeries take time. You don't. And obviously, surgeries where you're replacing the innards with robotic parts take time. But it really quickly, and then they could have went into their joke of, are you going to cover that up? Why would I cover up that beautiful machinery?
We get this meeting. Fennec Shand comes to. She's all like, "Who the hell are you?" He's all, "I'm Boba Fett." "No, you're dead. Boba Fett's dead." He's like, "Well, I need your help."
He asked for help getting his ship back. The fire spray, formerly known as Slave One.
That's right. And she's like, "So I'm worth more alive than I am dead?" And he said, "Yes." Boba Fett comes out and says he has no interest in money, where I believe pretty much that was his main driving point in the original trilogy.
Well, he also points out that he has more than enough money. Being the most successful bounty hunter, I'm sure he saved up quite a stockpile. So his new goal is something else. And I think he talks about ruling with respect and becoming a crime lord. I think we're seeing him work towards some other goal. I could be wrong on this, but I think we're going to get a reveal in these next couple of episodes where we find out he's been working towards some other goal than just being the crime lord of Mos Espa on Tatooine. That seems to be a pretty low bar.
Yeah, we were both way off on the whole uniting of the Tusken clans. I guess that could still happen, but likelihood seems to have been annihilated.
It's possible. I still think they played a lot into that whole Tatooine used to be a water world kind of thing. So I still think that whatever that is will play a point. And they play a point with the Tuskens, but I don't know. We'll see.
So Fennec agrees. She's like, "Okay, if I do this,
she's along for the ride."
Right. Not yet. She says, "If I do this, my debt's paid, and I can leave." And he's like, "Sure, go for it."
Yeah.
So we get to the point where they break into Jabba's palace, and
Bib Fortuna's palace, not Jabba's palace.
Right. Well, but you know what? They referred to it as Jabba's palace. So we find out that General Grievous was probably a chef before he worked
Could have
for
been a chef
Palpatine.
if he went a different route.
Right, but his original, I think his original intention might have been chef, and then Dooku or Palpatine was like, "No, we're gonna soup this one up."
Yeah. No, I mean,
like I don't know all the lore. I know the lore.
I totally would buy one of these and put them in my kitchen. By the way, home defense and cooking. I mean, it wasn't good home defense, and he's got a huge weakness. But
does it have a remote control?
I mean, I can't imagine Alexa can't control it.
Okay. I also want a remote control as a failsafe.
Okay.
So yeah, this was kind of cool and kind of corny. So he's breaking in and he's trying to get to his ship and he has to go through the kitchen and we get this guy rolling all his knives around. I wonder if anyone has done a GIF with this guy having lightsabers. So he goes in there and he's able to get his ship. Another thing that I thought was weird was this part right here, where he's like where he asked the little droid, "Do you know who I am? I'm Boba Fett." I'm like, what is
why
this
would the rat? Why would the little rat catcher bot know who you are? Yeah. I agree. That whole scene could have been scrapped.
Yeah. Like,
and
why
they
did
could
you
have put
like
more content into the actual show?
So we finally had a gunfight. That was kind of awesome.
Yeah.
When they got into the ship, and we saw Fennec being a badass with that shot to open the garage. The garage,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. So that was cool. And then the first thing he does is the coldest thing Boba Fett has done. I mean, now I get it's revenge, but it also just felt cold because of the way he did it. like when he shredded the speeder biker gang.
Oh, well, he blames them for murdering
yeah. No, I totally understand his reasoning, but like the way, just the complete utter annihilation of these guys was,
yeah, gunning him down and destroying him was awesome.
Something that I've been waiting to see from Boba Fett this whole time. Like this was just fucking cold. This was like I mean, I don't blame him. But this was evil, the way that he did it.
I don't know that it was evil, but it was definitely revenge, and it was cold revenge.
It was also the true Boba Fett that we know. Like that's something Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Can do.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. And then he does this thing, and there's been a lot of people complaining about this, where he goes back to the Sarlacc pit to get his armor. I think they're wrong. Like they're saying, well, he climbed out of the pit with his armor. How come he doesn't remember? And I'm like, the guy, who knows? Like, I'm willing to accept the fact that he was barely. I mean, obviously, he barely got out alive because he couldn't defend himself from some Jawas.
Yeah.
Who took his armor, and so he was obviously out of it. Did they say how long? Did they say how long he was in the pit?
They've never really said, but
he just said years.
Because I think we just recently found out he spent 4 years with the Tusken tribe.
Yeah.
At least that's what I've heard.
Never actually said.
I don't know if he ever said. I think I heard somewhere that they said it's 4 years. The people who did the show, which is a nice thing to know. So he goes in the Sarlacc pit and he ends up killing the Sarlacc pit, which I don't know why he just didn't do that from the beginning. Why he had to fly the ship in there instead of just blast the shit out of it.
Yeah, I question that too, because I mean but maybe he was worried about damaging his armor. I mean, Beskar's strong, but Beskar might not last up to heavy blaster bolts.
Well, okay, okay, but it holds up to the acid in the pit. I don't know. Also, I thought
it can hold up to a lightsaber, so I think it can hold up to the acid. But what kind of damage would you do to something with blaster cannons on a ship?
Right. So I forget what they call those mines that
sonic mines. Yeah.
The sonic mine. So they end up dropping that in the pit to kill it, which I mean, that probably would have annihilated his armor if we're worried about blaster shots.
Well, if you'll remember, he didn't drop it. Fennec did.
Oh,
Fennec hit the
right,
button and dropped it in there.
right. But yeah, I don't know. Fennec should have asked. That would have made this better. If Fennec asked, well, why don't we just kill it before he started flying in? You know, that would have made that whole situation more believable, for lack of a better word. So anyways, he ends up blowing this thing up, which is or she ends up blowing it up. And the Sarlacc pig is dead. This one is. I'm sure there's more than one.
This one is.
But
there's probably more of them. But this is the great Sarlacc of Tatooine.
Right. So he climbs down there, finds his armor's not in there, as we all knew. And then I believe that's pretty much the end of the flashback. And we are back to current day. And the next major part is, I forget why. Why did he go to the cantina?
To hire the Wookiee.
No.
Yeah. To hire the Wookiee and to show that he was still around.
Yeah.
To make the show that he was that Boba. He needed to show his face.
Yeah. Because even Fennec said was like, "Are you sure that's a good idea?" And he's like, "I need to show my face."
So, right. So we get this. I took a screenshot of her because she says something. She says Tatooine is now more civilized. Is a more civilized place in a more civilized time. So they're trying to remove more of the grit from Tatooine, I feel now, by saying something like that. Now I get it. This guy was like a gladiator of some sort before his bounty hunter days. I just found this an interesting statement to be made.
Well, I
mentioned
this to my wife when we were watching it. So in A New Hope, when Luke Skywalker is asked about Tatooine, he says, if there's a bright, shining spot in the universe, Tatooine is the planet that is furthest from it. However, it looks like Tatooine is way more important than Coruscant, a lot of people live there, but we don't see a lot going on there.
That's another conversation. Because I'm just going to ask this question, and I don't want an answer. We can think about it and maybe have a conversation about this later. As far as
I have an answer as soon as you ask it.
As far as the whole Disney TV Star Wars approach that they've taken so far, that could be a good conversation for next week. So we've spent a lot of time in these Star Wars TV shows on deserts.
Yeah.
So something to think about. Why? So I have another question about this scene. Why is the cantina paying tribute to Boba Fett?
Just like Las Vegas in the 60s.
So Boba Fett doesn't return any sort of services.
Well, in theory, he protects them from the seedier, more problematic issues that could happen.
Not concerned about someone ripping the arm off of a patron.
Well, I'm sure they're concerned about someone ripping the arm off a patron, but if you do business with Wookiees, that's going to be a problem you're going to have. I'm sure they have an insurance policy.
But he just watched it happen. I mean, I don't know.
So you're asking why they're paying tribute to Boba Fett if he's just going to stand there and let a Wookiee rip someone's arm off?
Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't think it should be his direct job of stepping in.
Right.
But I don't know who else would have. I don't know who else he would have charged with that. I mean, it's not like he's got a big team anyways.
Right. Except for his group of colorful mods.
But had he had no interest in, what is this Wookiee called? Crestan?
Crestan.
Crestan. I mean,
only articles call him Black Crestan. It's in the show they just refer to him as Crestan.
Yeah. I mean, he'd already been on one end of a fight with this guy. I mean, you saw what he did to Boba Fett before. Honestly, I wouldn't gotten his way. Let the Wookiee win.
He could have shot him. He could have shot him right in the back of the head. He had his gun.
It's possible.
But I mean, I get it. He wanted to hire him. I just thought that, I don't know, more stuff that just didn't quite click. But so he hires this guy, and then we go into the final thing, which is the meeting of the families. Is that what we're calling them?
Yeah. The Godfather scene.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he brings the major crime lords as well.
Crime bosses. Crime
bosses, but yet they're on the same level. They're on the same level as him because he said, "I don't expect a tribute from you, nor do I expect to give one to you." So they're all on the same level, if that's the case.
I mean, they paid tribute to Jabba, so no, they're not on the same level. But like I said, we don't know what Boba Fett's end game is,
right?
So it's hard to know what he's playing at.
Right. So, but in this specific meeting, he says that he doesn't expect a tribute for them, nor does he expect to give them tribute. So they're all on the same level at this meeting, except for the fact that they're sitting on top of his Rancor pit. Yeah, that was funny. So there's another part on this that like he's all like, "Hey, look, you guys help me out with the Pikes." I'll keep wanting to call them Pikers, but that's a different movie.
Yeah.
So he's like, you guys want to help me out with the Pikes? And they're like, no, they only want your land. And then he's like, okay, well, how about none of you betray me? And we just and you guys stay neutral. And they all agree. We know somebody's gonna, the guy sitting right here kind of reminds me of like a Sharpay or something.
Yeah. He's definitely going to betray him.
Right. Because he's the one who said the most different thing. He said, "I abide." Yeah. Which was also more like the rest of them said, "I agree," or like this will work. And then he says, "I abide," which means more of like, I'm willing to follow your directions. One thing was at the very first episode, we brought this up last episode. This gentleman here, I don't know what they're called, but the language was, according to the subtitles, was Quayish. And so this guy talked, and this droid was able to translate for him this time, whereas in the first episode, he wasn't.
I was not here for that conversation. So Boba Fett in that first episode says we really need a protocol droid because you need a protocol droid.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Like 3PO is able to, he knows 3 million forms of communication and dialects.
Yeah.
This droid is actually a repair droid, I believe.
So yeah, that's the first time you ever see this droid, at least the first time I can remember, is The Return of the Jedi. And he's on the barge, like tormenting.
Yeah, he's
robots.
A torture droid.
Yeah. But now he's translating things after they made that joke. I was hoping we were going to get a protocol droid as well. I mean, please, more droids.
I would like to see a protocol droid introduced. I don't know why they didn't show him getting one or just have one show up. They don't even have to show him buying it. But I do agree. But also, I can tell you, I mean, he's a droid. So how hard is it to get him an upgrade where he knows,
right?
You know,
and
Trans-Ocean, Aqualit, Sharpay dude, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know any of the other aliens in this picture.
Gamorrean. Because that's what he did in episode 3 is he's going to translate for them now.
Yeah.
So and I mentioned that last week. I was like, maybe they put some sort of protocol chip in him or something.
Right. Well, okay. So if you've ever seen, there's a movie out there called "Thank You for Smoking."
I love that movie. Aaron Eckhart.
They're making a movie that's set in space, but they want people to smoke in the movie.
Right.
So they're like, well, yeah, but wouldn't that be dangerous with the oxygen and cause an explosion? And they said, yeah, but we'll just throw in a line of, well, thank God we have the thing converter so that we can smoke in space. And I believe that's what it is, Thank God we have this droid. He can now translate and, just don't question it and move on.
But they didn't say that. They didn't do that. They didn't address the droid being able to all of a sudden translate. When?
They said a protocol droid, and then now this guy's can be a protocol droid. So maybe they bought a protocol unit and stuck in him. I don't know.
That's not the same. That's not the
Here's
same because when you hear
but
protocol
here's the
droid,
thing.
you think of a droid that looks like C-3PO.
It doesn't matter. Do you want them to put in an episode where Boba Fett goes to the mall and goes to different protocol droid shops and kicks the tires on a couple of different models and
no, I think in episode 2 you've got him. I think in episode 2 you've got, or episode 2 or 3 or whatever, you've got all of a sudden Boba's on the throne and you just got a protocol droid standing next to him that might not even be needed. It's just there.
See, I would have never put in the line about we need a protocol droid. I mean, it wasn't particularly necessary. Just assume this guy's a protocol droid.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting when I was first watching. It's like, oh, maybe this not C-3PO looking thing is going to say, translate for them. But anyways, that was just weird. And then they wrap up the episode. So everyone agrees, whatever. They talk about needing more muscle, and Fennec's all like, well, you can get muscle if you know you can pay for muscle if you know where to find it. And they play the Mandalorian theme at the very end.
Did. You were correct. They did play the the Gorn song.
Yep. So we know what we're getting next episode.
Maybe not. We don't know.
Possible. Well, okay. Fair enough. Do you think Homeboy would have been able to keep that under wraps? Probably. What's his damn name? Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal? Yeah. Pedro Pascal doesn't even need to know about it. He doesn't take his helmet off.
Right. Fair enough.
His stunt guy.
They need his voice, though.
All of it. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so he needed to record the lines.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, Fennec Shand, the actress that plays her, didn't even know she was gonna be in Book of Boba Fett until they started filming it, and then they told her, "Oh, this is a different show we're filming here."
Okay. So did you guys see the clip of the guy playing Boba Fett talking some ish?
Well, he
wasn't really talking shit, but like he was saying about how he felt like he should have had less lines. He's like, I'm supposed to be more mysterious.
Yeah, during the filming, he kept wanting to give his lines away to Fennec Shand and have her be the voice of Boba Fett more than him. I mean, the mystery of it and all, I understand, but it's called the Book of Boba Fett. Not the Book of Fennec Shand. He's the main character. He's gonna talk.
Fair enough. You're absolutely right. But I think if they had better writers, they could have pulled it off.
Maybe. I have no issue with the writing. My issues are with the pacing and the plot points, not necessarily the way the way everything's written. It's organic and it feels right for what they've written. Some of it I don't think they should have written. This scene served no purpose to me.
No, the pacing's been terrible. Like the whole 5 minutes we spent on him building his shaft, his stick thing. Like
I like that.
Yeah, no, I felt that they could have added more to the story. That was just whatever. I think they ran out of shit to say, and they put that in there.
It's possible.
Yeah, this meeting was pointless. Huh?
We'll see once we get to the end of the series. Much like with Mandalorian, there are things that happen in Mandalorian where I was like, I don't understand this. This makes no sense to me in a narrative fashion. And then you get to that final point where everything pulls in together, and you're like, okay, that's why they did this.
Yeah. So we're 4 episodes in, which is halfway. Is 7 or 8?
So. I think so. I think there's 3 more episodes, so I think there's 7.
So we should start tying up some loose ends.